Okay, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you guys how I make ear warmers or the headbands. So this is also how we're going to do a cast on using scrap yarn, and you want to make sure that you're going to use a contrasting color. So I'm going to use blue yarn for the actual headband, but this is a really easy way to make sure that you can pick up stitches when you finish it off by hand. Now there's a lot of I don't know, I guess it's just me. I feel guilty saying things are handmade when I'm using the machine, but there is a lot of hand components to this, especially with the finishing off for scarves, gloves, headbands, etc. So I'll show you some of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to cast on, and again, we're just going to, let's see if I can, anyway, we're going to be using the scrap yarn, and we're going to go in front of the first black pin or tooth, and then behind, then in front, behind, etc. Like I said, it doesn't matter what color this yarn is, you just want to have a good contrast so that you can see and pick up stitches. And for the ear bands, we're going to be using, we're going to be doing 90 rows, and that makes them nice and plush, okay? So at the bottom one, the end one, you should be behind, and we're just going to go through the carriage and through the little loop, all right? And then we're going to, I always do the first couple rows by hand, but I actually do have the kranki adapter, okay? So now I'll grab that, and you can just see that this is an adapter that you buy separate. You don't have to have it, but I really like it. And you put it in your drill, and then it helps automate the process, okay? So you just put that on there, and we're just going to cast on, I don't know, 2 or 3 rows is sufficient, but I usually do about 5, just because I'm not the best at picking up stitches and seeing the demarcation. But that's just personal preference. So I have a whole bunch of this Hunter's Orange yarn that I've cut for scrap. And some people cut it off. I actually reuse it because I don't like to be very wasteful. Okay, so this is going to be, you see where I'm back at the first black. So I'm going to take that cast on yarn and put it off to the back. Make sure that this goes underneath that little red tooth. Now I'm going to take the yarn that I'm actually using, okay, and this is the Caron Simply Soft. I really like this yarn. Let's see, where's the camera? So it's very soft. It almost has like a silky feel to it, and I just have a trash bin from like the dollar store below. Actually, I got it at Walmart for like $3, and so it keeps my working yarn just kind of in one spot. But anyway, we're just going to put the working yarn through, and again for the tension, put it through there, and then make sure it's in front of this black tooth and down, okay? And we're going to want to make sure that it goes underneath that area, and just kind of give it a gentle little tug to make sure that the tension is good. Now I'm going to set my counter now for 0, because I'm going to want to do 90 rounds for this band, okay? And this yarn is thinner, so you really do have to pay attention to the tension a little bit more to make sure that you don't drop stitches, but I really like it, okay? So as I told you, I have the kranki, and so I'm just going to hook this on, and we're going to do 90 rows. Now, don't go too fast with the kranki. This can go a lot faster, but I see that if you go faster than about this, you tend to drop stitches. And so I'm just going to stick with about this speed, maybe a touch. There you go. But no faster than this, because I'm not the best at picking up stitches. I can do it, but it's not the prettiest. So I just try to not drop them. Anyway, I'm just going to do this. until we get to 90. And 90 makes it nice for an adult size. We're going to end up folding this on each other and stitching it together, so I'll show you that as well. So we're at 14 rows already. I really like this machine. It really, I make a lot of hats for charity. I live in Michigan, and it's actually deer hunting day, so it's opening season. So it's the middle of November, and we have our first snow. We got it about a week ago or so. And so it's getting nice and cold, and so I like to make hats and drop them off at homeless shelters, schools, because there are a lot of kids that either forget their hats or don't have hats. And, you know, by dropping some homemade hats off to them, you know, make sure that they can go out and play on the playground for recess. Also, retirement villages, they tend to really appreciate these gifts. Community outreach, I'm going to make some today and take them to the soup kitchen. That's really close to our college that we have here, Ferris State University. So I really like to try to help people. I can't help a ton financially, but you know, I can help with time. And so this is how I can help others. So we're at 32 rows. You can see it's really pretty. And the inside of this would be the equivalent of the purl stitch, where the outside is the equivalent of the knit stitch. And there are really awesome people that drop stitches and then pick them up different, and they can do different braids and everything. So just look on YouTube for a lot of their videos. They're very inspirational. I'm not good at that, but I'm just starting to. I learned how to knit when I was younger, and I was in my adult years when I learned how to crochet, and never got really good at it. But I mean, you don't have to for the Addi. It's just sometimes when you drop stitches, it's good to have those skills to learn or know how to pick them up and make them not be a different design. But this Addi is awesome. This is the king size, and so there are 46 needles on this guy. So we're at 48 rows so far. These can also make flat panels, and so I think I'm going to try to figure out how to do those today. Again, I've learned a lot of stuff by watching YouTube, and I've watched a lot of videos, but with me, I just have to kind of get my hands in there and do it. And, you know, make a lot of mistakes and rip it out and start over, and that's part of the fun. Of course, not the ripping out part, but I don't know. I really like being able to do these crafts for people, because, you know, you can start with just a thing of yarn and you end up with this beautiful thing. So when it starts to get really long, I like to fold it up and over on itself, and then the just a little bit of weight will help with the tension too. But we're at row 56 right now, so we're almost done. Again, I'm going to go to 90. And I think I measured it once, and it ends up being around 17 and a half or 18 inches around for the 90 rows. Yeah, I don't think I have a tape measure, or else I'd measure it for you guys up here. I'm going to take it downstairs. But it's just really fun to see this, and I really love this color. And as you can see, this Simply Soft yarn really just stitches up so nice. Kind of mesmerizing to watch, and this blue reminds me of Lake Michigan or Caribbean, the ocean. It's just a very pretty blue color. It actually matches the color of my husband's eyes too, and mine too. Mine are blue too. It's nice and pretty. Alright, we're at 72 rows, so the fun stuff is almost starting, guys. So we're 10 minutes in, you can see, and we're going to do a cast off as well with the strap yarn. When we get to 90 rows, and then I'll show you why. Now some people do this in 2 steps, the stitching it together, but I figured out a way to do it in 1. And so I do. Well, actually we finish off the edges first and then I sew them together in 1 step, so it still is 2 steps. So we're at 83. Alright, and what's fun is you can do a whole bunch of different colors on here, and you can get really creative. Okay, so I just cut off my tail, and I'm going to put him on the inside, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another of my scrap guys, and we're just going to put him in the new carriage up and behind as if we were changing colors. Oopsie. See, you do have to pay attention because I like to miss that one, so you have to make sure it goes behind that and grabs there. Give it a little tug. Yep. So this is why I always start off by hand, and then I can change to the kranki. Okay? Just to make sure that all stitches are being picked up. And like I said, you can stop at like 2 or 3 rows here, but I tend to do a little bit more. I don't know why. Like I said, it's because I'm not the best at picking up stitches, and I'm afraid of drop stitches, because then, like I told you, I'm not the best crocheter, so if I drop a stitch and I can't pick it up, then I'd have to start all over, which is fine. Alright, so you can see that I'm at the end here, so we're just going to flip that in, and now we're just going to crank to release our product, okay? And once it gets to the area where we don't have yarn in there anymore, you can see it'll start dropping off, and that's kind of fun to watch too. Just kind of drops off, and then we can pick it up. Okay, so this is our 80 row tube. Okay, now this is the fun part. Well, it's all kind of fun, but we have to crochet these guys together. So I'm going to grab my crochet needle, and this is where the contrast ends up being really helpful. You need to decide where your middle is going to be. I like to put the tail over on one side so I can tuck it under, but it's really up to you. What we're going to do, let's make sure that I'm showing you guys this, so we're going to pick up 1 stitch on this side, right, and then 1 stitch right there, and then we're going to crochet them together. So this is where just a little basic knowledge of crocheting can help. Okay, and so this is just making a finished edge. Okay, so sometimes what I like to do is do the tubes like this, and then I'll finish them when I'm watching TV with my husband at night. So, because you don't have to be at the machine anymore for this. But we're just going to go underneath and slide under and through. Underneath, and then the old stitch is going to go up and over, so looping it through. And like I said, I'm not a crocheter, and so I'm sure that there are prettier ways to do this than using your fingernails. But, you know, I'm a realist. This is what I do. This is how I get things done. Right? So we're just going to do this for all of them. So that we're going to end up basically finishing the ends. Okay? And you can see it goes pretty fast. But this is why you want the contrast rows, so that you can actually see where you're picking up, right? And you don't want to miss stitches here, but you can fix them if you do. I always pull and tug on it after to flatten it out, one, but also just to make sure that I didn't miss a stitch. So where I learned how to crochet, my mom, I grew up in Michigan, and we have 4-H here, and we learned how to knit from our neighbor Barbara. And so thank you, Barbara, for teaching me all this fun stuff. And then my neighbor Addi, sweet lady, who passed probably about 8-10 years ago now, she taught me how to crochet, and so did my Aunt Chrissy. And so, like I said, I have very kind of rudimentary crochet skills, but it's enough to be able to work on this stuff. Okay. Now, also, when we get done casting off here, some people like to cut away their yarn, but I like to try to find a way to reuse it. And so I'll show you how we can just pull off the casting on yarn, that orange yarn, so that we can reuse it. Alright, so this is where it can get a little sneaky. So we want to try to go in here and I'm just going to grab both of those because I don't know which one was the right one. So, like I said, I'm not the best at this, but we make it work. Alright, looks like I already got that guy, so I'm going to pull him in. And then we're going to finish with this one. Alright, and then looks like I stitched my tail in there. So what I'm going to do is just get a piece of the blue yarn, just a little bit. Okay. But usually I'd use the tail, but I wasn't paying attention and I stitched it in. So we're going to just pull it in, then I do another one just to make sure that I have that linked, and then I don't know, like I said, I make up things as I go. So we're just gonna pull that through, and then I'm gonna pull it up one more time. Let's grab one that's not okay, and then I'm gonna just make another knot, just so it's really set in there. And I'm going to go up underneath here, and I'm going to grab that and pull it under. Okay, and then now you can see that that knot's hidden, and my tail came out, so there we go. And it's hidden in the tube, so that's okay. So that's how we finish off the one end of it. Okay, now what we can do is we can take off this sides. So this was the cast off side, so it's going to pull nicely. So this is again why I kind of do a couple different rows, like more than two, because if you're not careful, you can pull your stitches. So I just take it and I wind it up around my hand again. Okay, it's kind of satisfying to see it unravel. Kind of cool. This is one of my favorite parts. When I choose to unravel it, not when it does it on its own. Okay, but then we can just reuse this. Like I said, some people cut it off, but on the other side it's a little harder but to resave it, but that's okay, not too bad. Alright, and then it's kind of like pulling a tooth. Ready? Done. Done. So that is one finished edge. Okay, so this is how you could finish off scarves, When we do mittens, we have to do it this way too, but you can see the tails are tucked in, and it's just nice. All right, so now we're going to make sure that it's flat and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so we're going to pick up 2 stitches, pull it through, go underneath, pull it through, go to the other side, pick it up, pull it through, pick it up, pull it through. Okay, so this is just it's easy because your stitches aren't tight, and like I said, this is where the contrasting color really comes in, because we're gonna just pick up the top of that loop right there. Okay, and so it's not too bad. Hopefully I'm not going off camera too much. I can't see my hands. I'm just recording on my phone. Okay, so under, up and over, under, up and over, under, up and over. Okay, under, up and over. So once we make this tube, like I said, this is the start of how we're gonna do gloves and scarves, you know, lots of stuff. People are awesome and they make socks on here. I don't know if I'm gonna ever figure that one out, but there's always time. But these ear warmers are really nice because I tend to I have a big head. Not arrogant wise, but just I have like a 7 1/4 head size. I ride horses, and so my Western hats always had to be 7 1/4. And so I have a big head. And I gave one of these to my mom, and she loved it because she too has a bigger head, and it stayed put and it kept her warm, and it wasn't too tight to give her a headache. But you'll see that it's going to be nice and wide, so it's nice. Alright, so we're almost done, guys. Okay, just a couple more stitches. Right, up and over. Over. Looks like we have 2 more. I'm going to do him. And then, looks like it was right there. Alright, now here's that tail. So what I would do is probably do 2 just to pull it tight, and then grab just a stitch, do another pulley guy. Right, pull it tight, and then grab it, grab your tail, and then just tuck it under like that. Okay, now this side is a little harder to get off, but again, it's kind of worth it and it's kind of fun. So what we're going to do is find the top strand, and when I pull it, you see how it's pulling tight right there? And we can see that it's that top string that's moving. So I'm going to want to pull, find a loop, and pull that top string off. Okay, and you can see that popped off. So repeat again, just so you can kind of see where it is. And I mean, yeah, this is saving pennies, but you know, those pennies add up. So I don't know. Plus, I don't like to be very wasteful. I try not to be wasteful. Okay, and you can see that's going to be the end. And so we're going to pull that tail out. Now the rest of them should just come off. So I'm just going to wrap it, and you can see now that they're just pulling off. Okay, so I'm new to this whole videotaping thing too, so sorry if the videos aren't the best quality, but hey, I think you're getting the gist of things, right? So And look how pretty and satisfying that is. Can you see? And the last string. There you go. So now you have two finished sides. Like I said, we're going to give it a little tug and make sure that we didn't drop any stitches. And we didn't. Isn't that nice and pretty? Okay, and with those tucked in edges, we're good. So now, what we're going to do is take our band. Alright, it's now just one big square or rectangle. We're going to fold it on itself. Okay, so it's folded on itself. And now we're going to take one side and do a turn. And then we're going to sandwich these guys. Okay, and so it's going to end up being like that. Okay, so we have all 4 layers. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch it together. So let me grab my needle and grab some yarn. Okay, we're just going to thread the needle. And I like to take one of my edges through, where's my camera, like that, and then pull it tight. Okay, so what I like to do is start with just 2 layers to get it started. Okay, and then I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail so that I can tie it off. Right, and again we'll just go through, we'll go through all 4 layers now. Okay, and then back up just through 2 until we meet that tail. Now I'm going to tie this off. We're going to do 2 just so it's an anchoring knot. Okay, and then I can pull that tail in and hide it. Okay, but then just continue. Okay, now we can start going through all 4 at the same time. I'm going to grab this tail right now so it's not driving me nuts. Okay, let's see, did I do it? Alright, so now he's hidden. Okay, but now we're just going to go through all 4 layers. Okay, and then all 4 layers. And just back and forth. Okay. And by doing this, we're going to do a crisscross in this area, so it's really pretty. So you don't have to go too deep, so you can see I'm just going underneath that cast off stitch pretty much. Alright, but this yarn is nice and warm. My hands are getting warm. And I'm just stitching it up. I'm not even wearing it. So don't be scared to try new projects. That's how we all learn. And you know what? If I mess this up, so what? I'm out 50 cents, maybe. But I learned from it, right? From each of these times that we do it, we learn. So when we get to an end, what I like to do is do like an over kind of stitch, so you can make sure that we have a tight end there. Okay, you don't have to do this. This is all just me and the way that I do it. Okay, I'm going to flip it over and go back to the other side. Alright, so we're just kind of double stitching it just because. Alright, you shouldn't ever have to push it. I mean, you'll find the holes to just go through like hot knife on a, or a hot knife and butter. Alright, so just kind of go through. Like I said, this is my way of doing it. I think I probably adapted from a couple different videos on YouTube. The Facebook groups are also amazing. Okay. But, yeah, I don't know. I think these are super nice. Like I said, it's about 80 rolls. And it takes a little bit longer because of the finishing. But I don't like to wear hats a lot because I get hot. And I ride horses too, so these are great when I ride because it keeps me warm. And it keeps the sweat off my face, but it lets the heat evaporate so I don't get overheated too. Okay, so we're at the other end, and let's go through one more time, and then we'll do that up and over stitch. Okay, so we'll just go. Like I said, you don't have to do this. It's just kind of like a tension area, so I like to, and we'll just go through and do a double knot on it just to make sure that it stays, and then basically we're gonna hide our thread. So we'll go through. This is where the red needles that came with it is probably better, but like I said, I think it's downstairs. I'm gonna do another anchoring stitch just because, and then I'll hide my tail just by going through some of those stitches. Okay, let's see if I can pull it out. Yep, and ta-da! So I'm going to undo that and then take my tail, cut it off, and then just give it a little yank. And then from the front, that is what it's going to look like with this nice little twist. Okay, so the back is nice and done, and by finishing off those edges like that, it makes it pretty, but that's what we're going to do. So what you can do is kind of fun, is with this starting and the ending, if you want to do contrast colors, you can. So I've done some variegated, and so since we have 90 rows total, you can do like 15 to start with, and then what, 60, and then 15 to end with, or 30, 30, 30. You can do a whole bunch of different, right? But this is nice and, I mean, warm and wide, so it won't slip. So I hope you guys had fun watching that. Thanks for coming along, and have a fantastic day.